Hey everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Thank you for stopping by. So today we are going to be doing a March reading wrap-up video. We're going to talk about all of the books that I read, what I thought about them, what I gave them, star ratings that I gave them, and then we'll just kind of, go from there. So all in all, over the course of March, I read 10 books. 2 of those being audiobooks, but nonetheless, I did finish them both. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So we've got some 5-star reads in here, and then we've got a couple that I know are popular books, but honestly, they just didn't hit the hype for me. So with that being said, let's move into our first of 2 5-star reads for me. The month of March started out really good. This is probably my new favorite book that I've ever read. I know it's a little, though I gave this a 5-star, it's a little hometown, a little, there's some spice in there, but I just feel like it was everything that I wanted it to be. It is not crazy of a thick book. It's about 400 pages, 375, but basically this book is about 2 main characters. So there is Archer, who this book is based around, and then there is Bree, who is the kind of main female character in the book. So basically it talks about Bree, who has undergone some trauma and decides to leave her hometown, leave her friends, family, and move to a very small town. She starts working at a diner for this lovely couple and starts to kind of make herself a little bit of a home in this small town. She ends up meeting Archer, who is very quickly the talk of the town as she starts to figure out there is a lot of trauma in it. Just a very sweet story about second chances, about not judging somebody by their appearance or what you hear about them, and they end up making a beautiful life for themselves. This book was everything I needed and more. I gave it 5 stars, absolutely. So the second story I read, or book I read, was a audiobook. I will insert a picture here. It was Unravel Me, part of the Shatter Me series by Tahira Mafi. This one, compared to Shatter Me, that was like amazing. I found that Unravel Me was a little bit slow. There were some really good parts in it, but for the most part, it kind of felt like it dragged on a little bit. I don't know if, maybe I just wasn't in the mood for it and I should have probably, read it at a different time, but for me, it was a little bit slow. I did give it a 3 because it still had some really good parts in it. However, looking back now on being on book 5, it was definitely a slower burn for me, but I still give it a 3-star because I did very much kind of enjoy some of the parts of the storyline. The third book, physical book that I bought and read, was The Never Lie by Frida McFadden. This was a slower book for me. I didn't really enjoy this book, and I know that back and forth, people either love this or they hate this. That being said, I do have a couple more of her books, and I'm gonna give it another go and see if there, maybe it was just this. Maybe I will try and read this again. But essentially what this is about a couple who goes to an open house and they get trapped in there by a snowstorm. There's like a weird feeling in the house. The main female character just kind of feels like she's being watched, and lo and behold, some things unfold. They find out they're in the house that belonged to a therapist who disappeared, and her husband was a suspect in the murder. He ends up being found living in the house, and there's just a lot of things that unravel. It was pretty good, but I kind of somehow predicted the big twist in the plot was going to be. So for me, I did give this a 3. It was really good, but maybe I just felt that way because it was so hyped up and I didn't actually, everyone was just saying how amazing it was and I was just hoping for more. I mean, still great book, but just didn't really hit for me. The next one that I finished was Ignite Me. So this was the other, actually I think I read 3 audiobooks. So the next one is the 3rd book in the Shatter Me series. This one I absolutely loved. We started learning a little bit more about the main character, who is Juliet, and we learn a little bit more about Adam, a little bit more about Warner. And when I say we learn a little bit more about Warner, this is where things changed for me. I loved this book. I think I gave it a 4. There were some really great twists and turns in there. Again, a little bit of a slow burn, but definitely did enjoy this book. The next one I read, I actually started reading with my sister. Suggested is that we read this one together, and that was really cool. So Ellen Hildebrand, I hear a lot about her. I have a couple of people on TikTok that I follow that are really in love with her. I really liked this book. It's a very cute, like, not fantasy, but like just a fiction book. Basically talks about, it's surrounded by the hotel. There's a kind of a lot of different character stories that we get, a lot of like storylines for each character, how they intertwine, and somehow they end up throwing a ghost in here who has her own personality, and it actually works. Don't ask me how, but it definitely works. And this was a very, very cute story. A little bit of love in there, a little bit of romance, a lot of friendships, a little bit of mystery in there. So that was also really good. So I gave this one a 4 out of 5. The next one that I read was took a totally different turn from what I am used to, and that is The Priest by Sierra Simone. First of all, look at this cover. Like, it's so beautiful. And I mean, the book itself is not very long at all. I think I finished this in 2 days. But yeah, if you are triggered by reading, please kind of research what this is about. Again, it does give you some content warnings here, but I gave this one, if you are into very spicy, very smutty books, this will give it all you need. Again, be very careful with the trigger warnings. It does talk about religion and that kind of thing. So as long as you can get over that part, then I think you will really enjoy this book. But yeah, I gave this one a 4.75 out of 5. The next book that I read was, again, once I finished The Priest, I had to kind of take a little different approach because it was a lot for me. That being said, I did purchase the rest of the series, which is The Sinner and the Saint. I haven't finished or even started those ones yet, but I will let you know how that goes. So the next one I have is another 5-star read. This was my very, very first book by Abby Jimenez. This is the Yours Truly book. If I had my time back, I would have started, I believe that there are 3 books to this series, and I missed the first one. So this one is from the perspective of Jacob and Brianna, and I believe that the first one, I think it's called Part of Your World, is about their friends that are mentioned in here. I think they're all intertwined, but they can be read as a solo read. So anyways, I'm kind of sad that I didn't read the first one, but anyways, this one was amazing for me. So basically it follows the storyline of Jacob and Brianna. They both work at a hospital. Their first interaction was basically that Brianna ran into Jacob while she was sprinting to the hospital room for her brother, breaks his phone, and Jacob really doesn't have the swag to kind of talk to her, so he ends up writing her a letter, and it goes back and forth about reading the letters, and basically it's fake dating. They end up he kind of asks her if she would help him out and go to a wedding, and it turns from fake dating into I really want to be with him, and he ends up doing something that kind of changes everything for her and her brother's world. I'm not going to give too much of it away, but this is really, 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 really cute. It's on the thicker side. It's about 300, almost 400 pages, but I zipped through this in in a couple of days. So this was my only other 5-star read. And yeah, let's go on to the next one. So the next one that I read was another audiobook. Again, I'm trying to finish the Shatter Me series. So this one was called Restore Me. This one I gave a 4 out of 5. This one was great. We learn a lot more about all of them. So the main characters, we learn a lot about Juliet and Warner. Once again, there are some really good twists and turns. We learn a little bit more about the establishment, and we start to learn about their past a little bit more. So I'm really excited to start the next one in the series, which is Defy Me. So yeah, anyways, Restore Me was really great. I gave it 4 out of 5. Winding down, we've got our second last book, and this, again, March was a month of firsts for me. So I read my first Abby Jimenez book, my first Ellen Hildebrand book, first Frida McFadden book, and then we have the controversial Colleen Hoover. So this is my first book from her, and I have to say I was skeptical going in, again, because of all the things that you hear, both positive and negative. So I kind of went in with an open mind. I didn't really want to like judge it based on not knowing anything. I gave this book a 4 out of 5. I really liked this book, and I'm hoping that her other books are the same or have kind of, you know, similar writing styles. Obviously they should, but I really enjoyed this. So basically it follows a young woman, Kenna, who is it's kind of starts with her being let out of jail. So she is serving a sentence for the murder of her boyfriend. When she found out that she was going to jail, she also found out that she was pregnant. So she had her baby in prison, but because of the length of her sentence, the baby is actually put up or placed with her late boyfriend's parents. So this kind of follows the journey of her getting out of prison, wanting to start over. So she moves into the same town as her, as where her child is. Kind of starts her new life. Ended up meeting this man who turns out to be her late boyfriend's best friend. Only they kind of just discover that they are really into each other, and now they kind of have to find a way to tell the parents of her late boyfriend, because they blame Kenna for his murder, obviously, or his death, and she needs to try and explain herself. For me, it was wonderful. The ending was perfect, and I mean, it felt like it maybe could have been a little bit shorter, but for me, I really enjoyed this. So, note to self, don't judge a book by its cover, no pun intended. And last but not least, I wasn't going to include this in my March reading wrap up, but because I only had a few pages left to read in April, I still considered it to be part of March, because I think I only had like 20 pages left on April 1st. So Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. Again, this was another first read for me of this author. I'm actually really excited. I think this month was all new authors for me. So overall, March was a pretty bomb month for me. I will say it was really good. So this was Love in Other Words. I've heard so much about this. This boy was a little bit thick, but this was so sweet. I gave this a 4.5 out of 5. So basically it follows two main characters, Macy and Elliot, who are childhood friends. They end up, it's kind of cute because it's a book about two kind of like book nerds. So essentially when they're younger, she loses her mom, and they end up buying a cottage that they go to, or they call it like a weekend house, but a weekend house or a weekend away house cottage that they go to. She ends up meeting Elliot when she was when they were really young, and they end up being like best friends. They read inside of the closet. I know it sounds cute, but it's like their little fort, and they've been doing that for years. They go through all these years together, and then something happens where she decides to stop talking to him, and they don't speak for about 10 years. They both have their own lives at this point, and run into each other again about, I think it was like 12 years later, when they're both, one's engaged, one has a girlfriend. and they were just so inseparable in their past life, and they kind of wonder what happened. There was a couple events that happened that we find out why she kind of stopped talking to him. And yeah, it just goes through their like love and how if it's meant to be, it will be. So this has just got some tragedy, it's got some romance, it's got some, I don't know, a little bit of everything, but I really, really loved this book as well. So I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5. So there you guys have it. This is all of my books for the month of March. Like I said, this was a really good month for me. I really enjoyed everything that I read. I'm really excited to have these ones completed. These ones, I would say some of these are ones that I would definitely reread again. So we'll just say that I would definitely pick up a few of these. This one, unfortunately, like I said, I was super sad that I didn't find this one as engaging as people had said. That being said, maybe I will read it again just to see if, you know, if maybe I was just in it for the hype and didn't really pay too much attention, or if it actually is a good book, vice versa. Anyways, you guys, I hope that you found this useful, and maybe you'll pick up one of these books. If you read any of these, or you plan on reading them, let me know what you think after you've read them. If you loved them, if you hated them. And yeah, I would love to, you can follow me on social media, on TikTok if you'd like. I do post some book stuff there. And yeah, that's it for this video, you guys. Hope that you enjoyed it. Until next time, we'll talk to you soon. Bye.